So, the NBA playoffs are here, and so are some eliminations. The first round is slowly progressing to being over. We have a couple of series left in the playoffs, but so far, we've seen a few teams get eliminated, and some of them had way higher expectations than a first round exit. So I'm going to take a look at a couple of them today, let you know what I think they should do in the offseason, or not even what I think they should do. I'll give you that, but also what I think will happen, because some of them have already come out and been like, you know what, we're running it back, and some of them I don't think should run it back. But anyway, let's start with the first team, I believe, to get eliminated, the Phoenix Suns. They were swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round, as I'm sure you're aware, and they are screwed. They are really screwed because they got swept in the first round, right? And the Timberwolves are a very, very good team. Not to take anything away from the Timberwolves, but you shouldn't be getting swept by a team in the first round if you want to be a title contender. And the Suns want to be a title contender. They want to be active in the playoffs. They want to live to Larry O'Brien. And that's not going to happen with this current roster as is currently constructed. However, Matt Ishbia, the owner, billionaire, entrepreneur extraordinaire, bad owner, came out with a press conference yesterday, and it was generational, I'll tell you. He said the Suns are not in a good place. They're in a great place. And I cannot disagree more with that fact. And he also said that he hadn't made any decisions on whether Frank Vogel or James Jones was going to stay or go. And, I don't believe that, because we had a Shams article drop as soon as that game ended, being like, Frank Vogel, the team was laughing at him when they were getting chewed out. They didn't like the offensive game plan. KD didn't feel like he was utilized enough and all that shit. And he also said that I want to be the first team to properly, or no, I think it was James Jones that said this one, but he said, I want to properly utilize KD. I don't think anyone's done it before. I want to be the first team to. When he won 4 scoring titles and an MVP in OKC, and also 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs in Golden State. So I think a couple of teams have utilized him properly before. You look at their tax situation. So since this is going to come up some amount of time, I'm going to quickly go over the CBA rules for the new CBA with, luxury tax and all that stuff. So the first apron is when a team's payroll exceeds 172. At that point, teams cannot acquire a player in a sign and trade if that player keeps them above the apron. Teams cannot sign a player waived during the regular season whose salary was over the $12.2 million mid-level exception. So that means buyout players, that sort of thing. And salary matching in trades must be within 110% rather than 125% for teams not above the apron. Yeah. And then the Suns are above the second apron, so the penalties for that are more severe. And all of the penalties for the first apron apply to the second apron as well, which is triggered when a team's salary exceeds $182.5 million. No access to the $5 million taxpayer mid-level exception. And then starting this offseason, teams cannot use a trade exception generated by aggregating the salaries of multiple players. Teams cannot include cash in a trade. Teams cannot use a trade exception generated in a prior year. First-round picks 7 years out are frozen, unable to be traded. And a team's first-round pick is moved to the end of the first round if they remain in the second apron for 3 out of 5 seasons. So that last one will not apply this season or for a while for the Suns because of all that stuff. But they will have the rest of them. So they will not be able to aggregate player salaries. They will not be able to, get a mid-level exception guy in. They will only have minimum players, and then I believe they have their pick this season, which is the 22nd pick, if I'm remembering correctly. And that does not look good for them because they're $34 million over the cap, or over the luxury tax. Their total cap allocations are $244 million, which is, that's just a lot of money. You look at the roster, and KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker all are making around $50 million, right? KD's at 51, Booker's at 49, Bradley Beal's at 50. Those 3 players alone get you like $30 million off of the luxury tax second apron And then from there, they also have Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen, which take them over the top there. Even Yusuf Nurkic, I think by himself would take them over the first apron, or like close to it. Like the only tradable contracts they have are Nazir Little at like $6.75 million, and then like if someone wants to take Nurkic, $18 million, and Grayson Allen, I guess $15 million, but like also you would have to get basically a matching salary for that. And I don't know who's trading a good piece for Nazir Little or Yusuf Nurkic. Grayson Allen would probably get interest, but I don't know if you're going to get someone better for this team than a Grayson Allen for $15 million, especially considering that they don't have any picks, which is the next thing that they're screwed with, because they only have access to 2 tradable picks. I believe they could trade their draft pick this season on draft night, but outside of that, they only have a second rounder this year, which is San Antonio's and protected from 31 to 49. And so they're not getting that one because San Antonio was bad. And then they have a 2028 Boston second rounder that is protected from picks 31 to 45. So they do not have many options as far as roster flexibility goes without trading away one of KD or Devin Booker, and it does not sound like that is the approach they're taking this offseason. From the sounds of their press conferences and that sort of thing, it sounds like they want to run it back. I think they're deluding themselves into thinking group can work in that way, because I just don't think they can. Like, the Suns looked really bad, and also, when Ishbia was asked about getting a point guard, he said, I think everyone would agree you want to keep the ball in the hands of the big three. They're the best players on the court, or something to that effect. And it came out that Frank Vogel wanted a point guard this season. That didn't happen. He was shot down by the GM, and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker were seen as one of them would run the point guard. That didn't end up happening. So what do the Suns do? If I were the Suns, I would trade probably one of KD or Booker for picks and roster spots, like just young players. I'd blow it up. I'd see if Brooklyn called Brooklyn up. Hey, if you give us our picks back, we'll give you Devin Booker. Give us like Cam Johnson and, someone else, Dariq Whitehead maybe, and like our picks back, and we'll give you Devin Booker, because I just don't see this team competing. They don't have ways to really get meaningfully better unless they get really lucky in the draft with, the 22nd pick this season, or they find a very, very good trade for some reason. Outside of miracles, basically, they don't have a way of getting meaningfully better. So that's what I would do. What they would do, and what they will do probably, is not that. They'll probably run it back, be a first-round exit next year. Then after that, KD's looking at being like 36 or 37 or so. And that is old. He will probably not be as good as he is now. And you should probably get ahead of that by trading him, but they're not going to do that. And instead, they will probably have him regress to the point where he either leaves them, retires, whatever. He's getting up there in age. It's not that far off for him, potentially. Bradley Beal, they're keeping Bradley Beal for the rest of that deal, because he has a no-trade clause. So they can't trade him unless he, says, yeah, no, I'm fine with it. But, if they find a way to get off of his contract, that would be incredible, because that is the worst contract in the NBA, probably. And then Devin Booker, Devin Booker's really good. I think he's probably around the 11 to 15 range as far as best players in the league go, but he's not good enough to solely carry this team as we've seen, and he needs a proper supporting cast around him, and you're not going to get that with this core. So either trade KD, get what you can for him, trade D-Book, get what you can for him, trade both of them, get what you can for them, or they're just going to run it back. Now on to the Lakers, the second team and probably the final team I'll do for this video. I'll get to the Heat and the other teams at some point, but we're not going to get to them in this video. This is long enough already. But the Lakers, they are probably in a better position than the Suns. I think the Suns are probably in the worst position in the league for that, for future stuff, because they have no picks. They have no, because of all the reasons I listed earlier. The Lakers do have ways to get better. However, LeBron has a player option. What they do really depends on what LeBron does, because they really want him back. And I assume that LeBron is probably going to go back because, he has his family there. He probably doesn't want to uproot again. And, I mean, it came out in the Shams article that came out, after the series that they would consider drafting Bronny with one of their picks in this draft. And that, would be a big thing for Bron and Bronny to play together. It's something that he stated he's wanted to do for a long time. And if the Lakers made that happen, I could see that luring him back. But also, it does seem like he's going to test free agency, actually test it, consider his options of leaving. And if he leaves, then that changes the chemistry for this team a lot. It changes what you do. Because if LeBron comes back, one thing Rob Pelinka has talked about a lot is that the fact that they have 3 movable picks. They have the 17th overall pick in this draft they could trade on draft night, and then they have access to a lot of their picks. They have a 2025 first rounder, 2026 first rounder, 2029 first rounder, 2030 first rounder, and they are over the first apron, but they're not over the second apron, so they can trade out all the way to 2030. They can't trade all of those because of the stepping rule, but they could trade most of those. They could trade 26, 28, 2030, I think. Yeah, 28, 30, and then this pick in 26. So, or 25, they could trade 3 first-round picks. That can get you meaningfully better players, right? If you do a sign and trade of D'Angelo Russell to some team for that and 3 first-round picks, you can probably get a good player for that. Austin Reeves would have value around the league. Jared Vanderbilt might have some value around the league. Jalen Hood-Schifino is probably one of their more valuable assets, I guess, even though he's not really seen as a hot commodity around the league. They don't have many players that people would be interested in, but, one thing that Shams mentioned is that they would be interested in Trae Young. So if you trade him for D'Lo, Reeves, Hood-Schifino, and all the picks that you could possibly muster. If that's the best offer on the table, personally, I don't think that's a great offer for Trae Young, but something along those lines. I could see that working to a certain extent. I don't think that LeBron and AD win you another championship, but I do think they're capable of deep runs still if you put the proper supporting cast around them. And I think you might want to focus on role players instead, but it does seem like the Lakers want to go star hunting. That does seem like the next thing that they want to do. And if that's the case, then, that's what they'll do. And it's probably better for the Lakers than other teams because LeBron and AD got gassed in the Nuggets series a decent amount because they had to play so many minutes. And also LeBron is 39 years old. So I don't expect him to be able to hold up in the playoffs like he did when he was in his prime. 40 minutes a night for a 39-year-old in a series against the defending champs is rough, right? That's going to take the wind out of you. But I don't know if star hunting is the best, but it could work because you get someone to relieve the pressure off of LeBron. You get someone who can take some of his minutes and be very good with them, right? If you get Trae Young, he can play make, he can do the on-ball stuff that LeBron does, all that sort of jazz. So I think the Lakers are a lot more straightforward. I think you use your picks to get better, do 1-2 more runs maybe, depending on how long LeBron wants to stick around. And if LeBron leaves, then I think you blow it up. I think you trade Anthony Davis for what you can get for him because I don't think he alone is enough to be a number 1 option on a championship team, and he's already 31. I don't know if they could trade him this offseason because of the recently signed thing, because I think he just signed an extension this season. But I believe they could trade him at some point during the offseason. And if they could get a lot for AD, because AD is very good. Imagine Anthony Davis next to Chet Holmgren on the Thunder. That would be an incredible front court. Absolutely incredible. And you could get a lot from the Thunder potentially for that. So there are more avenues for the Lakers. I'm still not convinced that they'll be great, but they have the potential to be very good going forward. So, yeah, that's this video. If you're looking for a preview of the Timberwolves Nuggets series, by the way, I did write that on my Substack. I have a Substack that I link in the description. It's completely free for everyone. It's just a platform where I can publish stuff and not worry about being published under a company. I don't have to apply for jobs, that sort of thing. But it's about 2,000 words long. It goes into some X's and O's stuff. Like, it's a more in-depth piece than I make videos on, because these are largely not scripted. So yeah, if you want to check that out, the Substack is in the description. It's free. You can sign up for it. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.